for the people that I committed to work with. I was foreign to anything other connections. Anything else, homeless people, anything, I wasn't connected to that. So when I say clarity of something is, like, I wanna be a part, and I don't like to be a part of anything that I don't see the movement and understanding within the director, which is you.
Okay.
Not nothing else around it. You notice when you be talking like that, I don't do police, like everybody running their own agenda. Is that Black Moon? Okay.
No. When God has given you this vision. And I think after my mother passed away, I kind of went into a depression mode because I suffer from diabetes and depression that I deal with. And because I saw that the enemy didn't want me to bring this forward, because Colonel Russell's trying to duplicate what I'm doing.
Okay, but let me stop at that
That's the
point.
problem.
Let me stop at that point.
Mhm.
Colonel Russell trying to duplicate what you doing. Point exactly. How does that affect you?
At one time, it did affect me because I thought that I had to go through the police department to do it. And then when I just started doing what I needed to do and told them that I wasn't going to, wait on them to approve for me to do something.
So the one point here, and that's something
Yeah,
that,
don't affect me no more.
that's something that I can make sense of. You don't need to go through the,
No.
we don't, it ain't something that has to go, and help me, Kim, I'm fishing around. It's not something,
No.
it's not something that you need to go to
No.
police for.
No.
It's not something that you need approval from Russell,
No.
Bats,
No.
Stephanie.
No.
You're able to function as an independent. I know you got your 501c3 and who you are and reaching and enriching.
I'm doing this under reaching.
You're able to function to that. That's the only way that I want to participate.
Yeah, that's it.
That's where I'm at with this.
Yeah.
Only reason why I feel like that, because I don't want you to feel like, sometimes you feel like I don't listen, and sometimes it's not that I'm not listening. You're talking to a person who got to kick in survival mode heavy every day.
Mhm.
You're talking to an individual that, even now that I am learning and becoming knowledgeable of these other sources, I still have to maintain what God has put a mission and a passion in for me.
Well, we on the
And
same
that's
page.
something- And that's where I want to have clarity at, to understand how do we move forward. Right here, right now, I feel like this is my sacred zone. From
Yeah.
Larry to you to Kim, y'all my connection, different attitudes, different personalities, or whatever. But I know for a fact, you notice like I don't go to Leo and them stuff. I rarely go to stuff because I get stuck. And I know I feeds off of my emotions and that ADD that can get out of control. It
You
feeds
don't want
off
to
of other
resurface.
people's
I
stuff.
understand.
When you see, because I can feel
Well, no,
for you.
she's a woman of motion and action.
Yeah, like so I
as
can
a
feel from
woman
you.
of action,
Yeah,
she
like I
can't
want to
sit
see.
in a place where people are just spinning their wheels doing nothing.
Okay.
And she gets very frustrated,
Yeah, and then
and
it
she turns off.
Yeah,
And I
that's
don't
what
think she
happens a
turns
lot.
off.
Like I turns off, and I think sometimes when you see it, it's like a turn. It's a turn off more because I don't want to be. I don't want to be a follower to someone else's understanding. If it comes to me by the grace of God and the resources that He put in my circle, then I'm fine. So I want to say that to say, if you're going to sit here today and say, reaching the unreachable, Dr. Humphrey is you want to move forward with implementing trauma and what you know and what you're able to do.
But she needs to define what it is.
Yeah,
what
and
it
that's-
is.
that's
So
the
we
part,
need to hear.
yeah.
I want to hear what your main objective is, and how this training serves that.
Okay. Well, just to answer Sister Flowers' question, and I'm moving past that. When I spoke to the commissioner, his only concern was who will assume the liability. He had no problem with it, and I told him that I'm assuming the liability. So we passed that.
So
and that's
you would be reaching the unreachable.
outreach ministry, absolutely.
That's where it's at.
Yeah.
So that's what
No
that's
partnership
where
with the police.
that's
department.
where I need to function to, because it is two different entities.
Mhm.
Because you do have an involvement somewhere with them, and I'm thinking it's even prior to now. with the, like your symbols and stuff, like the police stuff, and so somewhere it's a connection to even, is this where the population of people going to come from that suffers from trauma, that you have to revolve yourself around the police entity? Or can we deal with individuals outside of that circle,
Yes, we
even
can.
if it's the homeless people, even if within us, we starting a trauma committee, and Kim say, you know, we got somebody that's really going through something. How can we, as reaching the unreachable board members, or reaching the, not Russell,
Gotcha.
I can't do that, because if we do that, you are traumatized by them individuals. I can get traumatized by them. So since I don't want to connect the two, I want to know where we're going, and Kim is a person of organizing, and a person that I would trust to say how we move forward to understanding what do we do Monday, and what do we need to have in place if we're going to assist and work with Dr. Humphrey to whatever capacity. If it's Larry, if it's Kim, if it's me, if we bring in other people, we want to say, you know what, our colleague, Reaching the Unreachable, Dr. Humphrey, has a program working with trauma of Baltimore City, or whatever, however we got to do
Well,
it.
let me address Sister Trueheart's question. Define what am I doing and the people, the population we're going to serve. Yeah, right, the objective. Because there is a big need in this city that people are traumatized, like the lady who was in the House of Roof and all that, to reach out to that population, for me being connected with Sister Flowers, the homeless. I could step outside of the circle with the police department, and the only reason why they called me, because I'm the longest existing person of the original program that have done this. So I don't have to.
Who
bring
has the
this-
original program?
I do. Dr. Leaf have it, but I as far as in the streets and everything, you know.
So you worked with Dr. Leaf at one point in time,
I was with them when the
and with the
program-
police
when it started.
department when it started.
Right,
That was another
New
time.
Haven, Connecticut.
Okay.
Where I have it all on flash drive if you want to see it. So,
Was this in Connecticut or Baltimore?
No, this started in New Haven, Connecticut, and they brought it here to Baltimore. They said it would never work here. Colonel Rick Heights started it. He was with 5 clinicians, he took 5 police officers up to New Haven, Connecticut, with a group of Yale students. And because the program was so effective, Sister Trueheart, it got political, where the mayor's office through criminal justice was saying, well, why is it just for children? And they wanted to open up to everybody, the population that we serve. And the objective is that what happens to people once they are traumatized. We have people we can refer them to, like the Family Bereavement Center, Kim Holmes. I worked with her for years. The state's attorney's office, SAVES.
So we could be, an objective can be a referral process.
Yeah, wraparound services. Correct. Social service. And what will happen, I can tell you how it worked in the past. In the past, how it would happen, when something happened, any time of the night.
We just had a family in a fire, and you got 3 people outside, and it's just a typical situation.
Okay, if I'm not informed about it, I would get it. We used to have what you call pages. I would get a text from the command, any of the commanders at the district, and go on the
So is
scene.
this just a normal contact to have with the individuals at the district? Like, is that for anybody?
No, that's for
who's
anybody.
engaging?
That's anybody who's been trained to, when they go out to deal with trauma. I mean, y'all saw it. Y'all was with me. What to do, and what not to do. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. And the only reason why the city was leery about it and hands off, because they don't want people out there trying to play Ben Casey. Like
That
we
makes
told him-
sense.
Like
That
we
makes
told the
sense.
man, don't move the lady. And what he do? So we turned our head, he moved anyway.
So the trauma, so we're talking about engaging on the scene situations that's going on possibly. Things that could be going on off the scenes when it comes to referring to agencies like Kim and I do with homeless individuals. If it's a certain, if I know Kim had more, so we're referring them to the proper agency. So the referral process can come within anywhere in the community.
Exactly. But also, when a clinician, they said mental health person, preferably a clinician, how it operated in the past, a police officer, a clergy, and a community representative.
So who is the, let me get this. Who is the clinician?
Right now, we have a clinician that works at the methadone program, Miss Shirley Johnson. I just met with her 2 weeks ago.
So she's one of the components that makes this, makes
So
it
what
all.
is she, a psychologist?
Clinician. Social worker, she's a clinician.
What is her background? What is her training? What is her certification?
She's a clinician, a social worker. Most social workers are clinicians.
The word clinician,
Most social workers are
The
licensed
word-
clinicians.
the word clinician.
I'm not gonna play on words,
Yeah,
Sister
well,
True.
I'm trying to understand what the clinician
A
is.
clinician, it has to be a part in mental health as a licensed social worker. That's all I
That's
know.
what I asked. I said, what is her background?
Right. She's a licensed social worker.
So she's a licensed, so the clinician, so she is the individual to do what?
Referrals.
Referral. So if we dealing with a case and we have a clinician that's connected to reaching the unreachable trauma response. So we have a clinician that when something come up, she has to be called and engaged with.
Not necessarily. Only time the clinician is brought in is when we make an assessment if all of us was to go out on the scene when something happened. Because sometimes people don't want to talk to a clinician. They say, I'm not crazy. Sometimes they don't want to talk to the police. Sometimes they don't want to talk to the clergy. We leave our cards and let them know if they need our help, they can give us a call. And then we just get back together and we make an assessment and make a referral. Whoever
So
the
do you
person
want to
wants to talk to.
represent, let me ask this question. Do you see yourself representing the interfaith clergy population on the scene, or do you see yourself representing the police on the scene?
Clergy only,
Clergy only.
faith-based. I can't represent Commissioner Bass. Because I might say the wrong thing. That's why Colonel Russell's not allowed to come on the radio or any media unless he gets permission. From the clergy, I can speak freely from the community. I don't need nobody's permission. And I hope I'm answering your question.